what I was actually thinking about just there was this lightning that you're saying we're watching and the electromagnetic,
Uh-huh.
influencing paranormal. Because people always say, oh, if you've
And the
got,
storm's going, no, there's so much more energy.
yeah, or they might say crystals in the ground, and they might say water,
Mm-hmm.
flowing near somewhere. Do you put any stock in that? Do you think there's anything to it?
I don't know. Because it just always baffles me when people say, you can use our energy, you can use the energy from our cameras, you can use the energy
Oh, I
from our
know.
lights, you can use. How do they know that it's so difficult for spirits to break through or
Yeah,
for to use? I mean, do they use energy?
that's
I
what
presume,
has always
why?
cracked me up about you can use our energy in a place with electricity.
Ah,
They can stick their fingers in the wall socket.
right. Yeah.
You know, what kind of energy are they talking about? Where's the proof for that?
Yeah.
What
Do you
what
want
is that?
radio frequency or you want microwave frequency or do you want light frequency?
Yeah, what kind of frequencies do you want? Yeah, it could be sunlight.
Right.
That's the frequency.
Yeah.
Ultra
red or ultraviolet or
you could fast a tune that's got a certain, energy to it.
Do you want positive energy?
Yeah. Do you want negative feelings to feed on if you're a demon?
Yeah.
Do you need me to, think about when I fail my exams? Oh, and all this.
Yeah. I'm sure negative. I mean, if there is such a thing as demons, entities that never lived, yeah, I'm sure they feel negative energy.
Right. So that's the thing, isn't it? Feeding on, using. It's the same thing, in a way.
I don't know if they feed on it or if they're attracted to it.
I see. Right. So,
and same with positive entities.
So they'll hang out in areas. Well, they do say that, don't they? Opening a portal type thing. If you're having a bad, say if one of your parents died, person's parents died, does that open up then an ability for something to get in at a time when you yourself are going to feel low? There is all those theories, and I'm not going to say that does not exist.
Gosh, I got to think of that one author. She is running some kind of church in Montana, I believe. And she was talking about people who get high or get drunk or, take meds or whatever to lose their senses as such to alter their perception.
Okay.
Are leaving a door open for negative spirits to come in.
Really?
I don't know if I believe it because I don't know.
Yeah, but you got the likes of Ed and Lorraine Warren saying that listening to EVPs is demonic or whatever.
Yeah. I think another point she brought up too is that having out of body experiences can cause an open door for negative things to come in.
I've heard that one as well. But for people who are trying to practice doing out of body experiences, which by the way, I've only had one ever.
Mm-hmm.
But they say that one of the easiest ways is to not sleep well at all for about 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And you'll be actively trying to do an out of body, and then all of a sudden you'll slip into it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my case, I opened my eyes, I could see everything completely 100% clearly, and then I thought, hang on a minute, I don't think I've got my glasses on. So I'm sat there upright, looking around the room. I went to hitch my glasses up, my hand went through my face, and I kind of went, and there was a big whoosh of air, and then I opened my eyes, and I'm looking at the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
So that was my experience of an out of body. But it's
so you never really were sitting up, even?
No, my spirit.
But, wow.
Allegedly. I don't know. I mean, you know me, I'm some kind of weird skeptic. I'm a skeptical believer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's
what blows my mind is after all the experiences you've had that you're still a skeptic.
Yeah. It's about being frightened, isn't it? At the end of the day. That's what it is. It's about being frightened. And that's why everybody does paranormal research, I think. Well, not everybody.
No, I'm not frightened. I'm more frightened of people.
It's the living rather than
Honestly.
the dead. Yeah. But in terms of energy, what I do subscribe to and I have no issue with is things that were never human. Entities that were never human. I get that. I can understand that.
Okay.
I can certainly. There's things like at the Sally House, say, in Kansas, and you think, yeah, maybe there's something that was never alive.
Are you talking not like animals were never human, but you're talking about something that never had a human consciousness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, exists in spirit form,
Mm-hmm.
never made it to being a human, is jealous or perhaps I don't know, I have no idea.
Well, it's kind of the whole Lucifer thing where
Mm.
he didn't want to serve humans because God created angels first, you know?
Right, and then cast down and
Yeah,
what have you.
yeah.
That sort of thing really, really intensely interests me. But what also interests me mostly about my own negative sides to these things is how do I dare presume anything? How do I dare presume any knowledge of anything?
Mm-hmm.
I am merely human,
Well,
you
back to
know.
the beginning. Why do people presume that spirits need energy?
Yes.
Why do we, like you say,
Oh,
presume anything?
there's another one, yeah. Where did that first begin? Where was the first time somebody said you can use my energy? I'd love to know that.
I don't know.
If anybody's listening who knows, is there a famous time it was said? Is it copied from somebody?
I'm going to look into Lloyd Auerbach
Oh, yeah.
because he's the professor of the Rhine Institute at Duke University. I've seen, and I've seen him do investigations and and I want to see if that started with him.
Oh, you think it could be
I don't
somebody
know if he's
of
teaching his
importance?
students to say this and it just kind of got out into the regular field. But if so, I want to see what his rationalization for saying that is.
Yeah.
Is it because that we believe that we measure EMF? We're measuring
Oh, as an energy.
electromagnetic as an energy. And
I
that's
see.
why they have to. But that's the other thing. How reliable are EMF detectors? I mean, I know if you put them near the mains, they're going to go off and stuff. But is there EMF stray EMF that is measurable in pulses or every once in a while, or is EMF usually just steady?
Well, hang on. By the way, there's a train going past. If that can be heard.
Can you see on the recorder if it can?
Yep, train home.
Of course not, but
right. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Is it because of electromagnetic energy? Is electromagnetic energy steady, or can it appear in a space and disappear?
That's an interesting question because if you go next to a microwave or you go next to a cell phone, you go next to a light switch, you're always going to get those coming through. You're always going to get a certain level coming through.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen in time and time again with investigations, even all in our own perhaps investigations, you'll get a spike. It may not appear ever again.
Well, I'm thinking of places. Okay, say we went to investigate the Bellwood. No, they have lights in there now. But any cave without electricity, whatever.
Okay.
If we got an EMF spike in there, could that be just stray EMF?
I don't think there is such a thing as stray. I think it's got to be directed.
Okay.
If you got a spike in the corner and it's stray, well, it's because somebody pointed a microwave gun in the direction. You know
so
what I mean?
It's not like radio waves.
No.
Okay.
As far as I understand it, no. You have something emitting. So in other words, the microwave in the kitchen is going to be emitting all the time in a bubble that follows
in the Faraday cage.
Yeah, it follows a law whereby it's 10 times less at one particular range, 10 times less than that at another range, and everything's the same. It always, the electromagnetic amount falls down in a linear way based on distance. Well, not quite linear, but do you know what I mean? You won't just get the microwave energy appearing in an upstairs bedroom,
Right.
But in terms of pulses, no. Unless it was something, that was rotating, like, those radar dishes on maritime ships, on warships and that, they rotate,
I'm just trying to think if EMF is a reliable measure and if indeed spirit puts off EMF.
Yeah. As a thing, it should be reliable because you shouldn't get spikes. You shouldn't.
That's what I was wondering.
That's my point. If you go next to the fuse box in someone's house, then you will get higher EMFs, and that can cause problems with people's minds. That can cause hallucinations and the rest.
I remember back when TAPS was good, and we went to people's houses, and we went to that one gentleman's house that had the electrical panel at the bottom in the basement, but the door was open, and it was a high voltage panel.
Yeah, about 2006 or something like that.
And then they also had a lot of chemicals, paints, and
on shelves
paint
and that.
thinners and things like that just stacked in there. Yeah, and saying the chemicals could affect your head. And I think that is something, first of all, to always take into consideration is what is the physical or mental health thing that this could be other than a haunting.
Plus, don't forget, as Amy and Jared have proven in a way, have proven with Amy's crypt, with the ghost tube, it'll go off with a lot of metalwork around.
Mm-hmm.
So if those paint cans are all stacked up, they're also accumulating, as it were, the EMF, that's coming out of the fuse box.
In fact, that was one criticism I had of Lloyd Auerbach a while back, a long time before I even met you, is I saw him investigating a battleship. It was either a battleship or an aircraft.
Yeah.
And he's going off about the EMF, and I'm saying, dude, there's metal. That's what I don't think you can really do EMF on a battleship.
Or Queen Mary.
Or the Queen Mary.
Yeah. Very, very famous haunted ship. Yep. Loads of people have been there.
Mm-hmm.
The damn thing's made of metal.
Yep. There I would take EVP and poltergeist activity as proof.
I always, as you know, put EVPs at the top of the tree. I don't put things like flashlights turning on and off as anything, or REM pod, or loads of other stuff, apps and things. Are definitely
something that humans can manipulate.
Yeah, well, that's a problem, isn't it? Yeah, but EVPs themselves. And do you know what I haven't seen in a long time? I know that Ghost Theory used one for a while, was an actual cassette-based audio recorder.
Oh, yeah.
Some work, some don't.
Ghost Theory did both the digital and the audio,
for a while, didn't
analog.
they? Yeah, for a while. I think they ran it until the batteries ran out, and then they didn't bother anymore.
Could be.
I believe it's an Olympus, and I've got one of those Olympus.
Joe clubbed Elliot alongside the head with the tape recorder. And
broke it. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But using different forms of recorder. I've had EVPs on a cell phone. I've had EVPs on an audio recorder that's tape based, and I've had EVP on this. No, not on this one. Actually, this is the tablet we're using. But we did record on the digital voice recorder.
Yes. In fact, when we were doing a Turtle Talk.
And that reminds me actually, we haven't tried the DR60's poor cousin.
Oh, that's true.
Is it Jade's got one? Who is it that's got one? Or is it Paranormal Nightmare? Somebody uses the same model anyway.
But I think it is. Well, Jade and Mandy use the same one we have, I think. And then I think it is Paranormal Quest, perhaps.
It might be. Anyway, it's the next one after the DR60.
Mm-hmm.
And they certainly don't cost $1,500.
And I think it's a good recorder. It doesn't have that scratchy so-called EVPs that the DR60 does.
That's something to talk about, isn't it? Because they are voice activated. And when the voice activation starts, it has a growl sound. And there was that poor woman who thought she was so haunted in her bathroom. She was recording lots of stuff in the bathroom, but she was using the automatic start on the recorder.
Voice activated?
Voice activated, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh my gosh, and it was coming out with all these growls and sounds like that. And she was thinking she was so haunted, but it was really just a function of that.
It's the compression of your recorder as the sound comes on and shuts back down.
Yeah. It was a very early digital one, so it's going to have some traits like that.
Yeah. I know I had a voice activated one a long time ago again, and it squeezes on and squeezes off, and so you miss the part of the beginning, miss the part at the end, or it comes out all raspy.
Those early ones, 90s, late 90s and that.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they all silver? What was that? Mine
was black with silver buttons.
It's still got silver on it.
Yeah.
You can't seem to get away from a silver recorder.
This was
one of the things I noticed.
This one was one of those little cassette.
Yes, micro cassette. Yeah,
micro cassette.
Yeah. Fully digital ones didn't come out. I don't know where they didn't come out from. Nobody's interested anyway. But those kind of things interest me in the timelines, and then what happened to EVPs during those times, which will relate to how many shows are on telly as well, I guess. But about the quality of EVPs, were the best quality EVPs in the earlier days with tape? More Class A's? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Today's crop that I hear on paranormal stuff, you have to rely on them putting it up on the screen to tell what it is most of the time. And again, Paranormal Nightmare do that a lot.
Yeah, again, I think it's going to sound different to them editing it. They're going to hear it more clearly than we can.
Yeah, than we ever get. Yeah.
But sometimes I really do think they're stretching.
Oh, I know,
You know.
I know, and I hope not. I mean, I hope that is what they think they're hearing.
Yeah.
Everywhere they go can't be haunted. It's one of those. Again, I mean, that's what impresses me with ghost theory. They say sometimes, oh, I've been to 6 different places today.
Yeah.
And sometimes they show the footage where they do.
Yeah.
They actually do show that they went there, they couldn't get in or whatever. It was overgrown with weeds, or the gate was locked, or the windows were shut. Yeah, and they just come away. It's not like they're lying about going to half a dozen different places.
In fact, I asked them on a live, how many places do you go before you find one that you research on average? And they said 6.
Oh, yeah, that's where I've got it from when you said it. Don't you? Yeah, absolutely fascinating stuff that they did use one, though. They did use an audio recorder. And now they've dropped it, and I just don't know why. I'd like them to use... Yeah, you got an answer from them. You ask them. Ask them why they don't use it.
Well, that was back when they had below 100 subscribers.
Oh, really?
They would talk to me back then. Yeah, now they're close to 100,000, aren't they?
Yeah, I bet they don't answer the same way anymore.
No. People change when they get an ego, you know.
So in other words, if you want to talk to us, do it now.
Yeah, do it now.
That's Lost in the Pond. Another great channel, nothing to do with paranormal. Excuse me. Lost in the Pond is just an Englishman now living in America.
I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine. He says sat in an Arkansas chair.
Gosh, this lightning is about 100 miles, 75 miles away from us, and it's blowing up our sky.
And that's why we started to record, because I was interested in that whole topic of EMF levels. And in fact, can that over there that we can see that's so far away, can that affect an EVP or something here? You know, is it possible? It is bouncing off the stratosphere and all this harp type stuff.
Yeah, well, that's why I was thinking, if it's, up that high in the atmosphere, does it really matter that they're 50, 60, 75 miles away? Or is it all encompassing whatever we're not seeing energy-wise going globally through the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Because this isn't the only storm that's going off right now.
And that could be an interesting side too. There's always storms around the earth.
Yeah, in fact, what's coming in from Oklahoma looks pretty bad.
To here?
No, it's going to dissipate now, but where it is right now, it looks really bad.
Oh, okay.
Going over southeastern Oklahoma Sasquatch country.
And could it be that people in Oklahoma at the moment are having paranormal experiences because that storm exists?
Maybe.
We don't know. I don't know how much a part of it is. I know, you used to get in the 1950s and that, you used to get the Hollywood films, and every single time it's boom, crash, lightning, and all the rest, and the ghost appears. Are we subjected to some of that media?
The only time I'm thinking you and I have had, and myself, have ever had a paranormal experience in a storm, and I don't recall it was lightning. I don't think it was. It was the Joplin spook light.
No, there was no storm that night, I do recall.
There was rain.
Yeah, there was rain. But it wasn't a proper blowy bang.
Okay, it wasn't
bang,
lightning.
Crash, kaboom. No, it wasn't doing any of that. No, I definitely recall going down that road and looking for that red light. Yeah. And it wasn't raining at that time. It only started to rain.
It wasn't a red light. The Joplin spook light isn't red.
Well, they are, whichever light though. I do recall that there was no storm then. It wasn't raining. It started to rain when I wanted to go out for a pee, didn't I? And then that's when they seemed to congregate at the back window, and you said, "Get in the car, get in the car."
No, you were when you opened your door, you said you heard people talking out there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And when you were
behind the hedge. Yeah.
Yeah, you had one foot in the car, just ready to sit and get in, because it was like first one, then another came beside it, then another came beside that, and another came beside that, and it blocked out the light behind.
Yeah, I didn't see them, but I could most certainly appreciate what you were saying, because I thought I heard somebody. I thought that there was actual people that jumped over the fence
in the middle of a pouring rainstorm.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make sense. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, things don't have to, do they? For you to just panic and get in the car again. When you say get in, I'm like,
what? But they were happening. I do recall that they all had the brim hat and everything.
You could see them that clearly.
Yeah.
Wow. Were they like silhouettes though?
Yeah.
And so the raised hat, is it?
In the brim.
In the brim, I see. Yep. I can imagine it. Yeah, I can imagine it. Wow, I'm glad I jumped in there.
I forgot to mention that in the story.
That is fascinating. No, I didn't know there were happening.
Yeah.
To this day, we went there a few years ago. I just recall that you were panicked, you know, and everything. But the thing that linked it to me was I knew I'd heard people. It sounded like, you know, from over the hedge, just a couple of folks chatting. But when you think about it, that would have been presumably the ghostly hat then?
They didn't have any features. They were just silhouettes.
Could you have told though with the lighting if they had features or not?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
They were just totally black. They were just like, it was almost like they were one or two-dimensional, I should say.
Cardboard cutout.
Yeah. But yeah, you could see it whipping right next to each other and lining up.
What, like a massing for,
shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be whatever, but amassing for an attack sort of thing, gathering themselves.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, curious.
I didn't want to find out.
Yeah. What do you think about curious? Just wanting to look in the car. Who's this then? Kind of thing?
I don't know.
The hat men don't have a good reputation.
No.
Do they?
It's shadow people don't, and I didn't care. I wasn't going to wait around to find out. You know. That's
fascinating. That.
I can't think of any other time. Has it ever happened with you that it's been stormy and you've had an encounter?
I don't think now. It certainly hasn't stood out as a feature that it's to be stormy and then something paranormal happens.
Mm-hmm.
I would say night more than day. Obviously, there's that side to it, but that's how your head is. You're supposed to, not be out when it's dark.
Right? Yeah.
It's a frame of mind thing,
mm-hmm.
and I think the frame of mind locks you in or locks you out of certain feelings.
Well, I'm just thinking because I know you used to go investigating overnight at Marbury, didn't you?
No, overnight, but yeah, certainly evenings. Go down there. And
I remember when you and I went there at night, and I heard the footsteps, and it was bipedal coming from the trees, and we just turned around and left. That place was remarkable, though.
Marbury is a marvelous place. The spirits, but that's the place where you have to get used to them. They have to get used to you. Normally, you were very lucky with your experience, but I think possibly because I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that sounds big-headed in a way, but I've been going there for months, maybe years, and it's the very fact that they got nothing at the start of it, and then they started to come forward more, and then they started to get, like psychic impressions of someone being around, and you get back home with, you play your recorder back, and sure enough, when you got that impression, there's an EVP, and these were proper Class A's.
I didn't get the psychic impression, but it affected me physically.
Yes, and that's another side.
And my legs started wobbling, and I started bawling my eyes out. And Emma's saying, "Julie, are you okay? Are you okay, Julie?" And I just answered. I said, "This isn't me. This isn't mine." And then afterwards, you told me I was standing on top of a tunnel that went out to the stables.
Yeah, so the story went, where the woman was having an affair with the stable hand or whatever. And then the owner or her husband anyway found out about it and then killed her or something like this, wasn't it?
In the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I was standing over that.
It's a fascinating place. It's unfortunately so long ago now for me though. It's over 20 years ago. Because it's such a nice place.
It's beautiful. And I'm so glad it's being used for the community still.
Yes. One thing was the damp clothes on an electric fire that are burning, that are getting too hot. If you can imagine that smell, it's like a musty,
like when you put your mittens on the radiator in the winter.
Right.
Okay.
That smell you get, I got in the kitchen area of Marbury. And I also got it in my living room at the flat, but I only afterwards found out that the kitchen area is where the house started to burn when it had a fire.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's so much to say about what happened at the flat though, with Thomas is dead and things like that being said in the side street and lots of. And I just been down.
What was that now?
Oh, I've been down to the cemetery at Great Budworth. This is in Cheshire, and I've been down to the cemetery and seen a grave of Thomas and had a psychic impression, what do you make of that, of Thomas's dad being how awful to him, abuse type thing. And I came back from there, and I didn't have the. I was taking a few pictures, EVPs, that sort of thing, and I don't think I got anything on those. But when I did get home, some kids were playing in the side street part next to, because it was the end flat,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this little walkway between to the next lot of
Sure.
flats. And yeah, some little kid said Thomas is dead. That's all I heard. I was going to the bathroom at the time, and I heard Thomas is dead. I went, yeah,
Oh,
I've just been looking at
weird.
his grave. What's this crap? Perhaps what's followed me?
You didn't happen to catch the years on the grave?
I couldn't tell you, but the grave itself would have been older, so
Yeah.
18.
Just the fact that it was Thomas and Thomas was a real
Yeah.
weird
And
coincidence.
and the coincidence again, maybe those kids were talking about their friend at school who died
Yeah.
of something. I don't know, but it did seem to link in.
Yeah.
There were several things around that time that were very much synchronicity stuff, and it was really quite strange.
Yeah, there was a lot for me too after
tell
the
me.
divorce.
Yes.
You know, and I think maybe the energy that probably both of us had at that time may have. Here we go talking about energy again, but I'm not talking about use my energy. I'm just saying that I had a negative energy going on, and you probably had a negative energy going on. Well, I know you did with your back problems and stuff.
Right.
Stuff happened. But then stuff happened right after my ex and I moved into that house.
Oh, what impresses me? Yeah, what impresses me is Mitch.
Yeah.
And that I saw Mitch in the kitchen, and you've not even told me about him, or at least I didn't know what he looked like, and then I described with the plaid shirt and the
that was so weird.
Blue jeans, and then the big work boots. Yeah, Mitch.
Yeah. Well, let me explain so people are going, what?
Oh, sure.
Ryder and I, when we first started dating over computer, because he's over in England and I'm in America, we had just signed off, and I'd shut all the lights off in my house, except for my bathroom light. And I had a tiny house, and the bathroom was right next to the kitchen.
Not a tiny house as they are nowadays called tiny houses. It was just a small house.
Yeah, it was a small house, 705 square feet. So anyway, you walk into the bathroom right next to the kitchen. You can see the kitchen out of your corner of your eye. And I get in the bathroom, I shut the door, and I thought, I just saw a man in my kitchen. He had sandy brown hair, short hair, a red flannel like lumberjack shirt, work jeans, and work boots. It didn't scare me. It was just like, that was the first time I'd ever seen anything.
First time you'd actually seen any
seen
kind
a ghost or spirit or had a mental impression of one. And then Mark came over to live with me shortly after that. And it took me about 2 weeks, and I finally said, honey, I don't know why I haven't told you this. I know we met because of the paranormal. But I said, you remember that one night back when, blah, 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 I saw a guy standing in my kitchen. And Slider said, you mean the guy with the sandy brown hair, the red shirt, and jeans and boots? He described him to me. And I said, what? And he says, yeah, he's out there in the morning when I have coffee.
Yeah, next to the fridge. Which you later...
That was where I saw him.
Which later you said was the extension of the house.
Yep.
Believe it or not, 705 square feet, but it had an extension.
Yeah, they added on to it.
As part of that. Wow, yeah.
The living room and kitchen was added on. It was a tiny, tiny house.
Anyway, yeah. But in terms of energies, yes, it's a really big topic with not many answers, that people seem to say the same things over and over again. That's, I think, my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we always say we're sending positive energy, and, I feel a negative energy, and you can use my energy. And I think we're all talking about different kinds of energy at that point.
Yeah.
And to me, I think when you pass over, you pass into a place where you're lack for nothing.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like you're not going to pay your bill for your power, so you've got no energy.
Yeah,
here, Mr. Spirit, have some of my 110 AC, have this and power yourself up, plug yourself in like a bloody cell phone.
And then,
it's got to be like that.
And then you think about the over unity people who say that there's enough energy in a cup of air to power or to boil the whole, or a cup of water, isn't it? There's enough energy in a cup of water to boil all the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, so
Which there is, if you look at it from nuclear point of view.
yeah, and how nuclear
And billions of dollars to make a nuclear weapon, of course, out of it.
yeah.
That's the other side to that. But in terms of actual power, yeah, because all the time atoms are spinning, all the time.
Yeah.
So if you can harness that spin,
That's it. Yeah.
if you can take a bit of power out of each atom that goes flying past, such that it's able to recover and carry on again, surely to God you've got to have some kind of over-unity machine with that.
Yeah. It just blows my mind that here I am sitting on a chair with solid plastic arms, but they aren't solid.
Things to make you wonder.
Oh yeah.
And then you start wondering about the density, perhaps, of spirit energy. And are we just not able to view that particular density?
Are we just that dense?
Or are we, are we too dense?
Both figuratively and literally.
Do we need to be lighter? Is laughter and humour making us lighter?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to walk into an investigation in a happy mood? Do we need to walk in a sad mood? Unhappy? What? Are there certain ways that we can change frequency, as is popularly said?
I think it's important you walk into an investigation with a clear mind. You're not worrying about the day's problems. You're not worrying about tomorrow's problems. You got to do it in the moment, in the now.
Okay, yeah.
I just think it's really, really important to have a clear mind. So obviously don't drink, don't smoke pot if you're going on an investigation.